My fiancé cheated with my mom and got her pregnant. I called off the wedding and started over somewhere new. Now, they're begging for forgiveness, and honestly, I'm just glad I found out before we had kids. My fiancé, let's call him Ryan, and I had been together since we were 17 and 18 years old. He was always kind, handsome, funny. Everyone used to say I was so lucky to have the whole package. I felt lucky too. He always treated me with love and respect. So this makes everything just so shocking. I've always had a good relationship with my mom. It's always been her and me against the world. My dad died in an accident when I was little. We always joked we were the real-life Rory and Lorelai from Gilmore Girls. My mom dated guys on and off. They were usually cool, but nothing really past the early stages. Around 4 years ago, my mom told me she was pregnant, which was a huge surprise. She was around 42 years old. She was sort of dating someone recently. I didn't meet the guy, but knew she went on dates. Still, it was a big shock. She never thought she could get pregnant at her age. She had me when she was super young, and I could tell she was stressed and worried. I decided to support her. She'd always supported me. I tried to reassure her. Therefore, she had my brother, who's now 3 years old. I have a close relationship with him. I've helped take care of him since he was born. I just love the little guy. Ryan was also always helpful with my brother. We'd take him out for ice cream, the playground, pool time during summer. But nothing was weird. He was just my boyfriend spending time with my brother and me. Now to how I found out. Ryan and I lived together since we finished college. He wasn't home one night. He was hanging out with friends. I was home because I didn't feel like going out. I just wanted to chill on the sofa. At some point during binge-watching a series on Netflix, my laptop died. I was too lazy to go get my charger, so I just took Ryan's iPad. I knew the password, but honestly had never used it before. The iPad logged in, and I got a bunch of messages pinging. I guess he hadn't used it in a while either. This got my attention, and I went to check it out. Of course, I found everything. My mom's number wasn't under her name, but I recognized the number and verified it with my phone. She was telling him she felt guilty and that I should know. He said he also felt guilty but couldn't lose me, and they'd messed it up. She said it was unfair for my brother to never know his dad and asked if he could live having his son around, not behaving like a dad, but a brother-in-law. I broke down. What the actual hell? There weren't a lot of older messages, just some photos stored. My brother as a newborn, my mom pregnant, more photos of my brother growing up in an album. I couldn't anymore. I cried for what seemed like ages and waited for Ryan to come back home. I wish I was one of those women who can pretend and get things together before confronting the cheater, but I can't. Therefore, he came back later that night around 11:30. I just gave him the iPad with the conversation open and saw his face completely go pale. I asked for an explanation, when, how, why. He didn't want it at first, but knew he had to. Apparently, a few years back while I was traveling with some friends on a girls' trip, Ryan and my mom had dinner together. This wasn't strange. He'd been part of the family for so long. Sometimes Mom and Ryan would eat together at our place, even if I was busy with sports or out. I did the same with his parents. Somehow, unclear how, since he couldn't explain it well, one thing led to another and they ended up sleeping together. They felt guilty, but apparently not guilty enough because they slept together 2 or 3 more times, using the excuse of meeting up to discuss how to tell me. Apparently, when my mom got pregnant, they stopped sleeping together and decided not to tell me since Ryan loved me and couldn't lose me, and my mom didn't want to lose her daughter. So here we are now with 2 of the most disgusting humans. Therefore, I obviously broke the engagement, told my mom to never talk to me again, and moved in with a friend. I feel bad for my brother since I really love him, but I can't be around him now. I just can't. I feel like it would remind me of all those times we talked about having kids. I would be his baby mama, his only baby mama. We talked about this future since we were 17 years old. So I want to puke every time I think how I was actually taking care of his child with someone else while still having those dreams. A week later, as I was afraid, I was confronted near my office. Ryan was the person to come find me after work. He was sort of lingering, waiting around. I thought about running, not gonna lie, but I guess in a moment I felt strong enough to get it over with. He asked if we could talk. I said yes, but I didn't feel like having that conversation over coffee like we were old friends. It felt ridiculous. So I told him to just talk right there. We were in the streets. It wasn't crowded, but also not completely lonely. It felt right. He basically said sorry 100 times and that I deserved better. I agreed. He said he did love me and still does, but he would understand why I wouldn't want anything to do with him. He said if I did consider giving him a chance, he'd go to therapy, alone, together, or both, and that he'd work hard to win my trust back. I told him it wasn't possible. There was too much damage. This sounds calm when I type it, but in the moment things came out with a louder tone and harsher words. He said he was starting the process of getting custody, partly for my brother, and that he in fact does want to be a dad to him. He said he doesn't want to be together with my mom, that it was just a stupid mistake. Sure, because a 4 or 5 times mistake is just a random thing. He couldn't explain why he did it in the first place. I think he doesn't even know himself. I asked if he cheated with someone else before. He said no. Not sure if I believe it, but he sounded honest. I asked why he didn't come clean. He said after he did the deed, he always felt panicked and it hit him that he could lose me, and he just didn't want to. I told him it was meant to be found out. What was his plan? To have my brother around and ignore their relationship forever? He said he didn't think far enough, that he was basically going with the idea one day at a time, a survival type of thing. I asked if he felt that my mom seduced him. He said it was mutual, which made me want to puke again. I asked if he'd had any contact with my mom since I found out. He said yes, but mostly about my brother. He didn't elaborate, and I didn't press for more. He said he told his parents about everything. They weren't happy, but they're glad to start building a relationship with my brother, their grandkid. Honestly, all of this felt like a punch in my stomach. Therefore, he said if he'd started or thought about custody before I found out, and he said no. But when I found out, it was like the push he needed. Great. Seems I helped him get his crap together. He sounded and looked defeated, but the whole thing made me, besides sad, angry. I was mainly depressed before, but now I was furious. I feel like he's still in an okay place. He isn't paying for his actions beyond me leaving him. He'll have my brother, his parents, and others, and move on with his life while I lost everything. I hate him. We parted ways not on a happy note. I told him to never get near me again. I was done. He asked me to see my brother still, that I was important to him. He tried to guilt-trip me, and it worked, but I still think I can't. I don't know much about my mom, and really hope she doesn't come find me anytime soon because I'm fuming right now and won't be able to handle it. Therefore, I decided to do the blasting. I posted on my family's Facebook group, my mom's family side. I said something along the lines of, I want to communicate to you all that my wedding has been permanently canceled since I found out that my mom and my ex had, in the last few years, an intimate relationship which resulted in the birth of my little brother. I had no clue of any of this and found out last week. I want to move forward without a relationship with either of them for obvious reasons. I would appreciate your understanding, and I felt it was only fair to let you know since I value transparency and honesty above all. I also included a screenshot of my mother's message and what I said to her once I found out. It exploded. I had family reaching out via text and calling the whole day. I'd say most were very supportive. I could tell they were just shocked. There were a few neutral and some suspicious that it wasn't the whole story. Maybe I misunderstood. My grandparents were in the maybe you misunderstood category, which wasn't surprising since my mom is super close to them. Like I said before, my mom was always a good mom, so no red flags. Therefore, I'll be moving in with a cousin who's more like a sister to me. I hadn't reached out to her previously because I knew once she knew, everyone would. That's why I went to my friend's place. My cousin is devastated on my behalf and offered for me to live with her and her 2 kids until I can get my feet on the ground. I then posted a similar message from my friend group on Instagram. I created a close friend story and tagged most of them. This went sort of viral in our friend group. One of my friends even sent me my Reddit post and asked if this was me. I confirmed. They were shocked and speechless. They never thought Ryan would even remotely do anything like this. They said he was crazy about me. Oh well, apparently he went overboard on the crazy part. The group of friends is divided. Some are completely on my side, and some are thinking it isn't the whole truth. I told everyone that reached out that if they don't believe me, to ask their friend if he's asking for custody of my little brother. That kind of shut them up. Ryan deleted his social media apparently. His parents also called me. They were kind and very sorry about everything. I got the feeling they're also overwhelmed and very disappointed. However, it was clear they'll be supporting their son. They're very upset at my mother and don't want anything to do with her, but I'm not sure how that will work with my little brother and everything else. They try to give me info about the custody and what Ryan's up to now, but I shut that down quickly. I told them I don't want any info. I want to move on. I also asked them not to reach out in the near future, that I need distance, especially if they'll be supporting him. He's living with his parents at the moment. My ex and my mother, after the blast, went nuts trying to reach out. They tried calling my friend. She blocked them and reaching out from different numbers. I had to put my phone on silent and ignore everyone. However, my mother sent me a long text from another number. That was a weird text. She said I was being cruel and that she didn't think she raised me that way. She said she thought we had a better relationship than me blasting out laundry like that without talking to her first. That I didn't have the whole picture. Then she mentioned something that confused me. She said the reason she slept with Ryan is because he reminded her of my dad. That was grief. That she didn't mean to use him to heal her pain, but she wasn't strong enough. I don't even know what that means. Like, did she think Ryan looks physically like my dad? Or personality-wise? I've seen photos of my dad, and well, yeah, Ryan isn't super different, but also not super alike. I mean, they share brown or dirty blonde hair, blue eyes, and white skin, but that's not so uncommon. I don't see what else. That threw me for a loop, and honestly makes me want to confront my mom just to know what the hell. Of all the things she could say, I wasn't expecting that. Therefore, I'm holding on better. I don't cry every hour or want to destroy them, but I'm still sad and upset. It just feels like this isn't my life, that it's a big joke or a bad dream, and I'll wake up to my normal life. I also need to really start planning my future and start applying for jobs in other cities, or maybe seriously check the possibilities abroad. Some of Ryan's closest friends have been saying I should give him another chance. That no one's perfect, but he loves me. They said he was always good to me, and I shouldn't just turn my back on him. They even said my little brother and I could be a perfect little family, and that I could make sure my little brother has a good stepmom. Who better than his blood relative, right? This is so nonsensical. They're talking like he messed up on something minor. Like he lied about getting laid off work or forgot to pay our bills for a month. Like, what the hell? I have some girlfriends who are completely on my side and supporting me, which is nice, but our group of friends isn't solid anymore. Everyone's taking sides. I did have a conversation with Ryan on the phone, though. I admit I'd had a bit to drink that night. I was coming back from meeting some friend for dinner and had a few glasses of wine and a cocktail. But I remember the talk. I asked if he thought he was groomed. He said he never thought of that, but maybe. I asked how he even got a crush on my mom. I thought we always hung out in a group, and my mom wasn't really there more than a few minutes in passing. Was it looks? He said yeah, yes and no. He thought she was pretty and therefore the teen crush, but he also tried to talk to her by passing through my house and asking if I was there even when he knew I wasn't, to have a chat with her. I asked if I was always second choice. He went silent. I asked him to tell me the truth. He said he didn't know. He did like me, but he still had the crush. I asked if he wanted to be with her now. He said God, no. I asked why he did it then. To get her out of his system? Did he still want her? Did he want her during the times we had sex? He said no. He only wanted me. He said it felt like those YOL low moments. He thought he'd give his teen self what he always wanted. He felt so stupid. I asked why he did it more times. He said he really didn't know. We were silent a lot. Not long after, we hung up. It was a short call and honestly emotional. I was sort of drunk, and he seemed emotionally drained. Therefore, I feel stupid for opening up and calling him and asking those questions. I've said 1,000 times I don't want to know more, but I was weak. Every time I feel like I'm moving on, I get hit again by everything. My brain can't understand yet. On my mom's front, not a lot has happened. She continues to try to fix it. My grandparents reached out, but I didn't answer. I'm sure they were trying to give me support. And then, finally, good news. I'm moving to Spain. I got a job as an au pair in one of the biggest cities in Spain. I'm so excited. I'm flying in a few days and starting September 1st with the family. The kids are adorable. I'll be learning Spanish too, which I always wanted to do anyway. So it all feels heaven sent. I've told only a few trusted friends, and of course my cousin who I live with, as well as my boss. My mother has been telling people I'm being mean to her when she wants to fix everything. She says she made a mistake and is trying to fix it, but I'm being difficult. She says she's just human. Not surprising. And I'm now really coming to terms with how self-centered she is and always has been. It's sad. I lost the mom I thought I had. It feels like she died. My new therapist, yes, I got one last week, said I'm grieving. Ryan has left me a bit alone since the last call we had. I heard he's focusing on my little brother and just staying under the radar. I've had some short phone calls with my little brother, which have been bittersweet, but he's doing okay. Of course, he doesn't know what's really happening, but he's happy with having a new dad. It doesn't hurt as much as it did before, but still hurts. Here's what people don't understand about this kind of betrayal. It doesn't just break your present. It rewrites your entire past. Every memory I have of the last 3 years is contaminated now. Every time I took my brother to the park. Every time Ryan held him. Every time my mom smiled at us all together. It was all a lie. I wasn't just helping raise my little brother. I was helping raise my fiancé's secret child. I was babysitting while they kept a life-altering secret from me. I was planning a wedding with a man who was already a father to someone else's, my mother's, kid. And the worst part? They let me. They watched me bond with my brother. They watched me dream about our future children. They watched me talk about how Ryan would be such a good dad someday. And they said nothing. My mom's excuse about Ryan reminding her of my dad? That's not grief. That's selfishness wrapped in a sob story. Grief doesn't make you sleep with your daughter's fiancé multiple times. Grief doesn't make you hide a child's paternity for 3 years. That's just being a terrible person. And Ryan's friends telling me I should forgive him because nobody's perfect, they can all go to hell. This isn't about perfection. This is about basic human decency. This is about not sleeping with your girlfriend's mother. This is about not creating a child and lying about it for years. These are pretty low bars to clear. So yeah, my fiancé slept with my mom, got her pregnant with my little brother, hid it for 3 years while I helped raise his secret kid, and honestly, moving to another country was the only way to start over after watching everyone I loved turn into strangers. Because here's the atomic takeaway. When betrayal rewrites your past, the only way forward is to build a completely new future. Sometimes it means leaving everything behind and starting over in a place where nobody knows the old version of your story. Because you can't heal in the same place that broke you.